Since the Islamic terrorist attacks in San Bernardino, not only President Obama, but Hillary Clinton are now just beating this drum that we need more gun control. We're going to talk about that today and give you some insights into Islam that no one else on TV is bringing to you. I promise you, and that's why you did the right thing by tuning here. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance.
Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. Those who uphold the law resist them. Welcome to the Voice of Resistance. Here's your host, Randall Terry.
We're going to use common sense today. Please just stay with me. And this isn't just to convert viewers. I'm assuming that the reason you stay with me is because you kind of agree with my fundamentals and you're looking for ways to expand knowledge and to help with reasoning. I hope I'm not disappointing you. But this is also to give you fodder, okay? The philosophical arms dealer for the right-hand side of your brain. That's what I want to be. So let's talk about guns. First of all, did you know that right now that there are growing numbers of law enforcement agencies that are saying what common sense tells us, that police cannot arrive fast enough to stop a terrorist attack in progress? We all know this. So police are starting to say, not just in little podunk towns, in New York, if a Muslim strikes in your neighborhood, if an Islamic terrorist strikes where we live, okay, our best chance of survival is to be able to stop him or her ourselves. I'd need no go any further than that demonic Muslim who decapitated that poor lady in Oklahoma. He cut off her head, and then he proceeded to his next victim. Thank God one of the men in the building had his gun with him and went in and shot him and wounded him, or he would have killed the second woman. If the victims in Fort Hood, okay, a military base, or in Chattanooga, another military facility, if they had simply had their guns, these are all people trained in using guns. If they had had their sidearms with them, most of them would be alive right now today. In San Bernardino, had any one of those people in the room just had a concealed weapon, concealed carry permit, a small handgun, maybe a lot of those people would be alive and the terrorists would have met their fate much sooner. I mean, isn't our goal to stay alive? If you're somebody who wants to be led like a sheep to the slaughter, and you simply refuse, I will never take another person's life, let him cut my head off, let him shoot me, then, God bless you. If that's some type of a conviction you have as a Christian pacifist, I completely don't agree with it. But there have been people throughout history who have held that, and certain some people who are ordained are required to that. So I'm not going to speak highly ill of it. But the simple matter is that if some of those people in that room had had a handgun, proper training, proper safety, all right, of course, then it's likely that many less of those people would have died. And think about Paris, in the Bataclan concert hall. No one but Muslim terrorists were armed, okay? They slaughtered 89 concert goers, and police were outside listening to gunfire and screams and doing nothing, okay? Hear me. It was more than 2 hours before the police stormed the building, after scores were dead. If those innocent victims in Paris had been carrying a weapon for self-defense, most of them would be alive today. Our domestic policies and our foreign policy must rise to the level to meet the threat that we face. Now, right now, Trump is being thrashed for daring to say that we need to have a temporary halt to all Muslims coming into America. I've said that on this show. I'm not running for president, so I'm obviously not making the waves that he is. But you would think that he had committed some crime against God and man, but he's not. And what's even more disgusting is that people on the left, God haters, those who love death, are comparing him to Hitler. It's actually laughable. Hitler, who wanted to kill people, they're comparing him to Hitler, and Trump, who wanted to save people. And what's even funnier is that Hitler worked with Muslims to kill Jews. Who's really like Hitler here? Friend, we are in the middle of producing a 14-part epic television series called What Would Mohammed Do?, explaining Islam and ISIS to the West. I have a master's degree in international terrorism, and I have studied ancient Islamic texts for over a decade. And we are going to do a very paced and a very scholarly look at Muhammad's life and see the connection of his life to today's headlines. Well, we need your help on 3 levels. 1, we need help with some security measures. 2, we need help with some gear for the studio. And 3, we need help with some computers. I'm inviting you to go to the GoFundMe site that you see on the screen and watch the pilot for episode 1. You'll get a feel for what it's going to be, and I promise you, you're going to be excited. You'll be challenged, and you're going to want your friends to see it. And then after you've seen it, give what you can to help us with this project. Thank you. I was watching, I believe it was Fox, it might have been CNN, and some good-looking young woman who has sold her soul to the Democratic Party. It was on Hannity, telling Sean Hannity that she would rather be unarmed and have everyone else in the room unarmed if a terrorist came into the room. Bobby Sue, I'm not kidding. Billy Bob, I'm not kidding. She said she would rather be unarmed and she'd rather have everyone else be unarmed and wait for the police. And Sean said, are you out of your mind? I'm trained. I've been carrying most of my life. And I know how to use a gun. You wouldn't rather have me in the room with you? Would you want me in the room, she said? No, because you're a ditz. Because your looks outstrip your intelligence and you've sold your soul. She, with her fancy little lipstick, and she sold her soul, and she knows if I'm going to keep this gig, right? She's getting money. Do you understand that? If I'm going to keep this gig, I've got to go on TV and make a horse's behind of myself. I've got to say something that every viewer, 90% of the viewers in the world are going to look at and go, you're joking, right? And then keep listening, going, and she never says, yeah, I'm joking. Okay? It's insane. It's insane. It's evil. I got to go fast because I've got some stuff I want to get through. Inside America, our goal is to first survive, but more importantly, you need to start thinking about a world without the terror of Islam, without the scourge of Islam, okay? Hopefully I'll have more time to talk about it at the end, but our goal is to win, not just to survive. Our goal is to defeat this godless, violent blueprint that has cursed the earth for almost 1,400 years. So, how do we prevail? How do we protect ourselves and how do we prevail? Here's some ideas for you, okay? Number 1, I won't number, I'll just talk. Our local law enforcement officials need to monitor the sermons of imams at mosques, okay? Yes, put wiring devices, have plants in there with little record. I don't care. Don't you understand? Many terrorist attacks are inspired by the sermons at a mosque, okay? The Muslim terrorist Anwar al-Awlaki, the one that was killed by the U.S. drone strike, he was an imam at the Falls Church Mosque, okay? We used to live around the corner. We'd go by the mosque just outside of Washington, D.C. His sermons were heard by terrorists from the 9/11 massacres. His sermons were heard by Nidal Hassan, the Fort Hood shooter. There were 18 emails back and forth to Hassan. Yeah. Okay. They were inspired in part by his calls to follow Muhammad's examples. Here's something else. We need to deport. Never mind blocking the ones. Trump said, let's block them. No, let's deport to their country of origin every man, woman, and child who comes from a country with a known connection to Islamic terrorism. Okay? Send them back. You know, we've got to remember, the Muslim woman in San Bernardino was here legally. Most of the 9/11 hijackers came to the country legally. The Boston bombers were here legally. It's not about where they come from, it's because they are Muslims and they're following the example of Muhammad, who used terror to convert people. Hopefully next week we'll get into this, but Muhammad actually said that one of the things that differentiated him from all the other prophets was that Allah had given him the use of terror. He knew that he wasn't like other prophets, so he had to make up an excuse. Well, Allah had given me this great privilege of using terror. So we should consider 100% moratorium on immigration from any countries known to harbor, train, arm, equip, or finance jihadists. Basically, this includes all countries with any inkling towards Islamic Sharia law or with a very large Muslim population. Okay? And we have to deny entry into America of so-called refugees from Muslim countries. Okay? It's already been proven that ISIS is currently and has been sending terrorists to Europe and America who are posing as refugees. Some of them are refugees and our heart goes out to them, but we have a duty to protect our citizens. We cannot allow in thousands of Muslims when we know that statistically some of them who are terrorists who will strike us. And the time may come when we'll have to rescind certain levels of security clearances that granted to Muslims, given what we're dealing with. Did you know that there's over 70 people on a terrorist watch list who somehow got a job inside of Homeland Security? Does that strike anyone besides me as insane? Saudi Arabia, listen to this, the birthplace of Muhammad, the birthplace of Islam, will not take these refugees. Because Saudi official knows that Muslim terrorists are among them who want to overthrow the Saudi government and establish the caliphate. I'll take a break, come right back with some other common sense things we need to do to protect ourselves and to prevail. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas referred to John Locke twice in his dissent in the Obergefell decision. John Locke is referred to as the philosopher of American liberty. He was a genius, and he not only believed in natural law, but he believed in revealed law, the Word of God, the law of God. And he is one of the two most influential philosophers on the founders of this republic. We are offering you this book, and I'm going to give you my book as well, The Sword. The Sword, the subtitle is The Blessing of Righteous Government and the Overthrow of Tyrants. It looks at what is the legitimate purpose of government and when is it our right to overthrow government like they did with the Declaration of Independence. We will send you these two books if you simply pay for the shipping and handling, $8, and then give whatever else you want. And by the way, the $8 doesn't cover our cost, but if that's all you can afford, we'll send them to you for the $8. God bless you. If we're going to protect ourselves and we're going to ultimately conquer historic fundamental Islam, then we have to stop financing, training, and equipping so-called moderate Muslims. okay?
Well, they're going to fight against Al-Qaeda or ISIS or some other terrorist group.
No, they're really not. With all that money we just spent to train people, one of the numbers that I keep hearing is that there's 5. We spent $500 million. That's $100 million per dude. I don't think that he can even manage $100 worth of equipment, really and truly, okay? We know that a lot of the weapons we've given to the so-called moderates have ended up with ISIS. ISIS is using our weapons to kill innocent people because our leaders are so stupid as to think that they are going to arm a moderate Muslim. Are you a moderate Muslim? Na'am. That's yes in Arabic. You promise to not fight against Americans? La, la. God save us. We've got to stop. Okay? You know how easy it is for these moderates to turn out to be liars, thieves, terrorists? Their loyalty is to the house of Islam, not to the house of infidels. They want to get out Assad. So who do you think were willing to fight Assad? That's people who believe in Sharia law, Sunni Muslims, because Assad is a Shiite. It's stupid. It's stupidity. If you want to arm somebody over there, arm the Christians, the Jews, the Yazidis, the Kurds. Arm minorities in areas that are at war. At least give them a chance to defend themselves. And maybe they could be a force to stop ISIS. Maybe instead of 100 of them dying, maybe only 50 will die and they'll kill 10 ISIS monsters in the process. Here's something else we need to do. Hear me. Our military needs to wage wars of vengeance. Wars of vengeance, not nation building. Okay? Here's what I mean. When terrorists on foreign soil or from foreign soil strike us, we need to fight quickly and fiercely to kill as many of them as possible and then leave. Leave with their dead scattered around, leave with their buildings on fire. And when they deliberately hide among their fellow Muslims, we still need to kill the terrorists and then just accept the collateral damage. Oh, Randall, how could you say that? I'll tell you how. Because we don't know if these so-called innocent civilians, human shields, we don't know how many of them are going along with this. They know that they're harboring terrorists. And when this happens enough times, okay, the terrorists are going to understand that they're going to die no matter where they hide. And if they value their human shields, they'll stop using them as pawns. And if the human shields are in fact on their side, so be it. Let them die too. We've got to forsake the idea of nation building until a Muslim nation is ready to abandon any loyalty to Sharia law. Okay? That means they're ready to have total freedom. Or until we're prepared to use force to break the back of Sharia law. I mean, think about this insanity. You might not know this. After millions of lives and billions of dollars were spent to build the nations of Iraq and Afghanistan, both nations said in their new constitutions that they were building their country on the principles of, you got it, Muslim Sharia law. This type of nation building is doomed to failure. Here's something else. When mosques are used in other countries as military outposts, they should be completely destroyed with every terrorist who hides there buried in the rubble. We will not allow a mosque to claim some type of religious exemption when it is in fact an outpost, a military outpost. You know what? I got to take a break, but I want to say this. When we fight Muslim terrorists on foreign soil, maybe we need to fight them on their terms. Perhaps we should reassess taking prisoners of war. We've seen what happens to Western prisoners of war who fight over there. If they get captured, they are paraded in front of the camera and then they are decapitated or burned alive. And we've seen what the Muslim prisoners at Guantanamo Bay did, okay? When they were released after years in prison with great treatment and great food, allowed to have their Quran and study their religion, they were released. And what'd they do? They went right back to fighting and killing Americans. So maybe it's time for us to give them their wish when we meet them on a field of battle. Send them to Allah. Okay, kill them all. on a field of battle. Take no prisoners. Friend, this TV show represents a mission. It's to be a voice of resistance to the evil in the land, but also to inspire people like you to take a stand at any level that you might be able to equip you, to inspire you, to challenge you, to give you the rhetorical ammunition that you need. But we still have to pay bills. This program, as you know if you're a regular viewer, we don't spend a lot of time raising money. We don't spend a lot of time saying, oh, you need to buy this and we're going to run. No, we're bringing you a message, but we still have bills that we need to pay. I'm asking you, if you have been blessed by this show, to please go to our website or send a check to the address you see on the screen or call the phone number that you see on the screen and use your credit card and to give $50 or $100 or $500 just to help us meet our normal expenses. And we'll keep bringing you this hard-hitting show. If we're going to be safe and we're going to defeat Islam, I know that some of these ideas that I'm giving you seem extreme, okay? But we're fighting an enemy whose ideology compels him to fight us and to die. That's how they get their reward. They die facing the enemy, their blood is shed, and with the first drop of blood that comes out of them, Muhammad said they get forgiveness of their sins. And then Muhammad said when they stand before God on the day of judgment, their wounds will begin to flow again with their blood, but it will be the smell of musk. That's an aphrodisiac, okay? That's what Muhammad said. So they've got 72 virgins waiting, and you might need some musk. I mean, how sick is this? You're starting to see how perverse this is? This is Islam. I didn't make this stuff up. This is Muhammad's words. I've got to say this. All right, I'll stay with what I'm going to talk about. Then we'll do it tomorrow maybe. We need to stop purchasing oil from Muslim countries immediately. If we're going to win, we need to stop purchasing oil from them. Here's why. First of all, we're financing terrorism, okay? And we can debate, we can decide how we can get energy independence from Muslim oil, but we can do it. We have enough options to the north, to the south, in our nation, on our borders, up in Anwar. We've got enough oil in this hemisphere, Canada, Mexico, and us, and there's a couple nations in South America. We don't need their oil, okay? We need to cease funding our enemies. And part of this, the largest financiers of terrorism in the world are the oil sheiks and the members of the Saudi family, okay? Our own gas pumps finance the 9/11 terrorists. But here's perhaps a more important reason. We want to be free from any obligation to any Muslim country because we need their oil. No, I don't want your oil. I don't want to have any obligation to you. Saudi Arabia is not our ally. They're an oil supplier, okay? If we did not need their oil, all right, and if our wealthy, oftentimes godless American oil tycoons who are making billions of dollars from Saudi oil, okay, if we didn't have the relationship we have, we would have declared them an enemy long ago and dealt with them as we did Libya or Somalia or Afghanistan or Iraq or Syria, okay? I don't want to be obligated to them. If I need to fight them, I want to be able to do it. I mean, think about it. Saudi Arabia, by law, does not permit one single church or one single synagogue or any other temple of Buddhism, Hinduism, anything. No. None of it can exist in its borders by law. Amnesty International, Voice of America, they consistently rate Saudi Arabia as one of the worst human rights violators in the world. And this is the land of Muhammad, okay? Muhammad said that Mecca, the central city of Islam, the center of this oppressive religion, was the jewel of the earth, and that it would exist until the end of time, until Islam would conquer the world. I want to be free from any obligation to Saudi Arabia, so that if our country needs to make war against Saudi Arabia, we can do it, and it won't disrupt our need for crude Muslim oil.